Hey folks, welcome to Unqualified, the fantasy football podcast that's been telling their waiters to enjoy their meal too since 2017. I'm your producer, Rob Diesendorf, here with Scott Brady and Sean Johnson, two fantasy football rivals that have been sabotaging each other for years, but they decided to come together to help you win your league and make your friends look like idiots. How you doing, boys?
There's nothing worse than doing that.
Yeah, it's really embarrassing. Waiter brings you your food, put it down, they tell you, oh, hope you like your meal, and you go, you too. Uh-oh.
That happens on airplanes, too, I feel like. Like when you check in and they say, have a nice flight, and you say, you too. Same thing.
You too.
I mean, you never know. They might be going back to the kitchen to enjoy their meal on their break.
That's true.
There's always the off chance.
And they're going to have a meal eventually. So, like, you're just wishing them to have a good meal, like your next meal.
Yeah, that's true.
It's actually rude if you don't do that. If you don't say that.
All right. Well, thanks for putting a positive spin on it, Scott.
No problem.
Before we get started today, we're going to take a minute to shout out the band who produced our intro theme, Ladies Drink Free. They're a funk band. They're fucking amazing. And they're friends of the pod. And we're friends of the band. And we just wanted to give them a shout out because we really appreciate them letting us use their song as our intro. And if you guys want to check them out, they have a Thanksgiving Eve show on the 22nd of November. Is that right? Yeah. At the Brick House Brewery in Patchogue. And it's going to be lit. I've been told. It's going to be lit.
Yeah, their song really sets the tone for the pod.
Gets me in the mode.
You know, kind of the unsung hero of the podcast.
Yeah, it really it sets the mood, gets us in the right vibe, gets the juices flowing. So, once again, that's Ladies Drink Free. You can look them up on Spotify, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. You know the deal. And we really appreciate them. Thanks, Ladies Drink Free.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, check them out. They got great saxophone play. I could use a little more cowbell, but other than that, they're phenomenal.
I got a fever.
And the only prescription is more cowbell.
All right, so we want to talk about, instead of overall reaction to Week 8, obviously, well, if you don't know, for those of us that do know, the NFL trade deadline is Tuesday, October 31st. Not too much happens year over year in the NFL, but a couple of things that happen on Monday we want to make you aware of that affect fantasy players. Jimmy Garoppolo, the backup on New England to Tom Brady, was traded to San Francisco for a second-round pick. So it looks like Kyle Shanahan, the head coach of San Francisco, is finally getting his franchise quarterback, or at least quarterback for the rest of this year. Might vault himself into QB2 discussion. That team isn't that great. I think he's going to help Pierre Garçon and Marquise Goodwin with and those pass catchers on that team.
Yeah, right off the top of my head, I could think of at least 4 or 5 nominal starters that I would rather have Garoppolo than. Guys like Andy Dalton, Joe Flacco. Those are guys I'd much rather take a chance on Jimmy Garoppolo than deal with those guys as my backup QB. So this guy, maybe he might have some tough sledding to start his tenure as a San Francisco 49er, but I think late in the season and especially next year, I think it's going to prove to be a really good move for the Niners.
Yeah, and then one other, Dwayne Brown, the former Houston Texans left tackle, he was holding out all year. He came back this past week, I believe. He was traded to Seattle for a cornerback and a couple of draft picks, but this helps Seattle's offensive line big time. Should relieve some pressure from Russell Wilson on the blind side, finally. Maybe help that running game as well, if he fits into the scheme and everything. So that could help everything in Seattle as well.
Yeah, I'm especially intrigued for what this might do for the running backs there. I'm kind of keying in on a guy, Thomas Rawls. In that backfield, he's just shown the most. Obviously, Chris Carson probably showed the most until he got hurt early in the year. But I think Thomas Rawls, if someone's going to emerge from that backfield, running behind a hopefully revamped offensive line, it's probably going to be him.
Yeah, let's get into some injuries from Week 8. Not too many, but go injury by injury. Joe Flacco, quarterback of the Baltimore Ravens, had a concussion. Pretty brutal hit by Miami Dolphins. So he's in the concussion protocol. Duke Johnson, the Cleveland running back, also had a concussion. He should be fine for next week, but be on the lookout for him. Chris Hogan, New England wide receiver, His shoulder was in a sling after the game. He got hit pretty hard. It looked like it might be a dislocated shoulder, so that's a brutal injury for him. Be on the lookout for his status. If he's out for any sort of games, look for Amendola to have more value. Jordan Reed, the tight end on the Washington Redskins, has a hamstring injury. Looks like he's going to be out in Week 9 at Seattle. And then another tight end, Zach Miller on the Chicago Bears, dislocated his knee. It was a nasty injury. It bent backwards. Also had artery damage. Had to have emergency surgery to literally save his leg. So that's a tough one for him. Hope he's okay. But Chicago Bears tight end Zach Miller. All right, let's get into blue chip players for Week 8. Guys who won the week for you. Blue Terra Chip Player of the Week for Week 8. DeAndre Hopkins, Houston wide receiver, had 8 receptions on 11 targets, exploded for 224 yards, 1 touchdown against Seattle and the vaunted Richard Sherman. 28 standard points, 36 PPR. Looks like one of the top 3 or 5 wide receivers out there. Unbelievable week and an unbelievable season with Deshaun Watson coming about. And that brings us to our honorable mention, Deshaun Watson. 19 of 30, 402 yards in a shootout with Seattle. Absolutely amazing game. 4 touchdowns, again, through the air. 8 rushes, 67 yards. Looks like a locked-in QB1. Both those guys are 2 of the top ones at their position, but really coming together, having amazing years and amazing Week 8s. Those are our Blue Terra Chip Players of the Week.
Yeah, Houston is really fun now. I mean, Deshaun Watson has just unlocked that offense completely. And who's more fun to watch run routes than the Nook, DeAndre Hopkins? This guy is just phenomenal.
I just wish that defense had J.J. Watt still and Whitney Merciless, because they're not as good as they could be with those guys out for the year. Anyway, let's talk about quarterbacks. Blue chip guys for Week 8. Russell Wilson and Deshaun Watson, again, shootout. Both had over 400 yards. Both had 4 touchdowns. Russell Wilson looks like a locked-in QB1 as well. And then a couple of guys that haven't really been on here at all, actually. Andy Dalton, pretty solid game. Nothing too fancy, but 243 yards, no interceptions, which is pretty good for him, honestly. And then Josh McCown on the Jets, 26 of 33, 250-plus yards, no interceptions as well. So obviously we know Russell Wilson and Deshaun Watson are both QB1s, and Andy Dalton and Josh McCown are both basically QB2s. Out of those 2 sets, Sean, who would you rather have, Russell Wilson or Deshaun Watson? And then would you rather have Andy Dalton or Josh McCown?
I'll go with
QB2 discussion.
I'll actually go with Deshaun Watson just because I think Lamar Miller is far better than any running back that Seattle has, and I think they could have a little bit more balance there. And then out of the next 2, I'll take Josh McCown. He's just been oddly consistent this year. He's had a really nice year, very quietly. He's developed a nice rapport with Austin Seferian-Jenkins and Jermaine Kearse and Robbie Anderson now. So I think he's using multiple targets. I think he's, kind of a sneaky QB2 option moving forward.
Yeah, he's been balling. New York Jets. The damn Jets. All right, running back blue chips. LaShawn McCoy, 27 rushes, 151 yards, 7 targets in the passing game. Again, running back 1. These guys all look like running back 1s, honestly. Ezekiel Elliott, just look out for his suspension. The decision's coming literally this week. But 150 yards through the rushing, 2 touchdowns. Melvin Gordon had a yards per carry of almost 10 in Week 8, 1 touchdown. Jerick McKinnon had 10 targets through the air, 6 of those being receptions for 72 yards and a touchdown through running. Lamar Miller, 2 touchdowns, 1 rushing, 1 receiving. Who'd you rather have the rest of the year out of all these guys? LaShawn McCoy, Ezekiel Elliott, Melvin Gordon, Jerick McKinnon, Lamar Miller.
That's tough. But for me, it's between McCoy and Gordon, just because I do think Elliott will get suspended at some point. So I think out of those 2, I think McCoy, as long as he's healthy, obviously, just is a little more consistent than Gordon. I mean, I wouldn't be disappointed with either one of those 2, but I'll take McCoy just by splitting hairs.
Yeah, I'd rather go Gordon, but I mean, it is splitting hairs at that point. Zeke, I don't know about the suspension. What's going to happen there? Looks like it might come down to 6 games, but McKinnon has been a really good, basically running back 2, and Lamar Miller pretty much always in the running back 2 discussion, but has had a resurgent year with Deshaun Watson. Wide receiver, we already talked about DeAndre Hopkins. Guy that's new to this list, Juju Smith-Schuster on Pittsburgh, the 20-year-old. By the way, youngest guy in NFL history to get at least 4 touchdowns. He's 20 years old. It's unreal.
Crazy.
193 yards on 10 targets. He had a 97-yard touchdown as well. It just burned Detroit's defense. Looking like a guy you should pick up. Will Fuller, the other side of DeAndre Hopkins on Houston, 8 targets, 5 receptions, 125 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Is this sustainable, this touchdown streak that he's had since he returned from injury?
Maybe not the touchdown streak, but what I like is the yardage. Like, he's catching bombs. He might not get into the end zone at every single one, but this guy is one of the premier deep threats in the league, and Deshaun Watson can buy time for him to get open. So I really like Will Fuller moving forward just because of, obviously this immense ceiling that we're seeing.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, 125 yards, he's increased, obviously, the yards he's getting. He got targeted more than he usually gets. I mean, we were talking about last week and the week before, it was kind of unsustainable, the target to touchdown ratio. But if he's getting 8 targets a game and they're throwing it a lot, which it seems like they're doing every single week, and Deshaun Watson keeps it up, you could make a case for Will Fuller being a sell high. Maybe you get a steadier wide receiver 1 out of it, but he's been a solid wide receiver 2. I think he's a wide receiver 2 for the rest of the year. Paul Richardson, Seattle wide receiver on the other side of Doug Baldwin, 105 yards, 2 touchdowns on 7 targets. Again, shootout game, but looks like a speculative ad there. Robbie Anderson on the Jets, 104 yards, 1 touchdown, only 6 targets, but he caught all of them. And then Jamison Crowder on Washington, 9 receptions on 13 targets, 123 yards. Resurgent game for him, but do you trust Crowder the rest of the year?
I don't know if I trust Crowder at all, just based on, the fact that Kirk has kind of picked a random target, besides Chris Thompson, obviously, who's been his favorite target, every week. Last week he featured Jordan Reed. This week it's Crowder. I think that fantasy whack-a-mole is just not going to be easy to trust week to week.
Yeah, I agree. Tight ends, Jack Doyle, 14 targets, 12 receptions, 121 yards, 1 touchdown. Unbelievable week. Probably his best game of the year, but should be picked up in 100% of leagues. And then Jimmy Graham and Rob Gronkowski, no strangers to this list. Graham had 2 touchdowns, only 5 targets, so not as heavy on the targets there. But Gronk, 9 targets, 1 touchdown, 57 yards, still tight end 1 there. Same with Jimmy Graham probably. And then defenses and kickers, Ravens had a shutout and 2 touchdowns. Eagles had 4 sacks and a touchdown. The Cowboys had 4 sacks and a touchdown. Matt Prater, 5 for 5 for field goals, 1 for 50+, 18 points. And then Kai Forbath looks like a good pickup on the Minnesota Vikings, 4 for 4 on field goals, 16 fantasy points this week. So good guy to pick up if you need kicker help.
This episode of Unqualified is sponsored by IONU. IONU is a service that helps you get out of paying your friends back by sending Owen Wilson to break the bad news to them. It's simple as that. There's not much to it. You just pop open your app, let Owen Wilson know the amount that you owe your friend, and he will find them, and he will break the bad news for you. Let's drop in on one of these conversations happening right now. Vince, amigo, wow, pal, yeah. Dom's not going to pay you back, buddy. You were a little overzealous at the restaurant, and he took it for face value. Wow. Jeremy, wow, it's me, Owen Wilson, the quietest actor in Hollywood. Wow. Jessica doesn't have that money she owes you. So how about me and you go down to the old yoga place down the street and take a couple classes, drink some ayahuasca? Wow. Carol, wow. Yeah, Mark doesn't have that $60 you were looking for. Yeah, but what if you had blueberry pie for the rest of your life? Wow, pie. Blueberry pie. I own you. Wow.
All right, so those are our blue chip guys for the week 8. Now we're going to look at the duds, the guys that let us down, and we're going to start with one guy that's kind of let us down the whole year. Actually, no, definitely let us down the whole year. Our Milk Duds dud of week 8, Jay Ajayi. This guy had 13 rushes for 23 yards, no touchdowns. I mean, the Dolphins look terrible, and he's one of the most terrible-looking parts of that offense. How are you feeling about Jay Ajayi if you own him, Scott? Because this guy has just been brutal.
Yeah, not good. I mean, he was a second round pick, basically a consensus second round pick because of the volume he was getting. He's barely getting the volume. I mean, 13 carries, it's not bad, but if you extrapolate that out for 16 games, it's nothing like, the amount of carries he had last year or anything like that. It's weird. We were talking about this before, but the teams that had a quote unquote bye in week 1 because of the Hurricanes, Miami Dolphins and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, both look out of sorts. They're just not doing well. The Dolphins are just way too volatile to trust. They might be down one game. They might be up. They might be running it. They might not be. So you can't trust him as a running back 1. Absolutely not. You can't really trust him as a running back 2 either. I think he's a flex guy at best, but you kind of need him in your lineup because you drafted him so early, but he's just not giving the production that you need.
Yeah, before we move on, I think the one thing I'm worried about with him is I'm worried about people benching him and then him having his Amari Cooper type breakout game.
Exactly.
Yep. So he's a guy that it's probably gonna be hard to bench him, but I think I wouldn't feel great about him as anything more than a flex play. Let's talk about his quarterback. Let's get to the quarterbacks now. Matt Moore leading off the list completely let me down. I kind of thought a big game was coming from him. He was kind of waiting on his moment the whole year, but he only had 176 yards, 2 picks, and just really didn't play well at all. Jameis Winston and Dak Prescott also had subpar games. Dak with only 143 yards, no touchdowns, didn't rush the ball, very effectively at all. And then Jameis had 2 picks and a fumble. So, which one of those two do you feel better about, Jameis or Dak?
Yeah, honestly, Winston was hurt. I know we literally just said the Bucs have looked out of sorts, but Winston had a really good game last week, not in week 8, week 7, where he had that AC sprain, the bad AC joint in his shoulder. This game, you could just chalk it up to the matchup. Carolina's defense has looked much better. And yeah, he had 3 turnovers, but he's been pretty good with picks this year comparatively to his other years. Dak, we actually said last week it was a good sell high time because they just crushed the 49ers in week 7. And now he came back to earth with 143 yards, no TDs, no rushing. I like both these guys. I think they're both low-end QB1s for the rest of the year. But I would actually prefer Winston. I just think Dak, this is like the floor he can have. I think Winston is a little bit more consistent even, even though he throws picks.
Yeah, absolutely. Another guy to join Ajayi is like a running back 1 pretty much that let us down. Devontae Freeman, only 12 rushes for 41 yards. He looked pretty banged up in the second half there. And then Carlos Hyde, only 12 for 25. Matt Breida scored a reception touchdown for San Francisco. And then Javorius Allen with, 17 rushes, 55 yards. Didn't do much in the passing game. So all 3 of those guys were kind of in the running back 1, running back 2 discussion. Which one of those guys do you feel best about moving forward? For me, it's Freeman, but I'm interested to see what you think.
Yeah, best about? Yeah, Freeman, I would say, too. This is just because he got hurt. Tevin Coleman had more carries and touches because Freeman got hurt, but it was only I think it was a stinger. I mean, he should be fine. Hyde, Breida's value is so weird to me because it's just like the hot hand approach, and I don't know what's going to happen with Jimmy Garoppolo at the helm. I'm hoping it'll help Hyde because hopefully their passing game will be a little better and the defenses won't stack the box against Hyde. But I'm still a little worried about Breida vulturing touchdowns, and he's just like an annoying vulture. Like he's not good enough to own because that rushing offense is not good enough to really like own a backup. But I don't know.
I completely agree. I mean, Hyde is scaring me. I think I'd almost rather have Javorius Allen, where at least you're not counting on him to be an every week starter like you are with Carlos Hyde. At least your value there is probably a little bit safer.
Yeah.
Tough to feel great about Hyde moving forward. Also might be a trade option for the Niners, so just keep your eye on that moving forward. Wide receiver wise, not a terrible week for wide receivers across the board, but these 4 guys, kind of let us down. Stephon Diggs, only 4 receptions for 27 yards. I think he was banged up in that game. Dez Bryant with 4 receptions for 39 yards against Josh Norman and the Washington Redskins. T.Y. Hilton, 1 week after criticizing his offensive line, only has 2 catches for 15 yards. Coincidence? I think not. And then Brandon Cooks, 5 receptions for 26 yards on 8 targets. I mean, these guys are all kind of like high-end wide receiver 2s. Maybe Hilton's a little bit lower than that on most people's rankings, but I don't know. I mean, Hilton might not be a Colt by the end of the week, but out of the other 3, who are you most worried about?
Most worried is Brandon Cooks. He's just so volatile, and the news that Chris Hogan might be out with his shoulder injury might help Cooks, but it also might hurt him because a lot of defenses were kind of preying on Hogan, with his hot start to the year. So Cooks is just feast or famine, right? He's going to get 26 yards in a game on 8 targets, or he's going to get 2 touchdowns and 150 yards. You just can't rely on it. The guy I like the most, honestly, is Diggs. He was a top 4 wide receiver before he got hurt. And yes, he did get hurt, and he's been hurt in years previous. But Case Keenum has been getting him the ball an okay amount. And they might actually get Teddy Bridgewater back from the dead here at quarterback, or Sam Bradford. So their quarterback play is only going to go up from here. And I think Diggs obviously is their best target in the passing game. Next to, Thielen's probably number 2 still.
Yeah, I'm all in on that Teddy Bridgewater post-Halloween zombie renaissance there. That would be phenomenal for the Vikings. All right, let's look at the tight ends. And this guy, if we didn't need to talk about J.J. urgently, this guy for me would have been my number 1 dud of the week. Jordan Reed, 1 catch for 5 yards on 1 target. Pulled his hamstring, I think, just 1 week after just a phenomenal game. Completely let me down. Yikes. Not a fan. I wasn't even a fan heading into the week, but yikes. I'm not pleased with him. Hunter Henry had a similarly bad game, 2 receptions for 11 yards. And then O.J. Howard came back down to earth as well with 2 catches for 16 yards on 2 targets. I don't know. I don't feel great about any of the 3 of these guys. All of them kind of have a tight end complement on their team that kind of scares me. So, yikes. If Reed is healthy, I think you got to go with him. But out of Henry and Howard, which one do you feel better about?
Definitely Henry. Antonio Gates, the other tight end that you were referring to on the Los Angeles Clippers, hasn't done anything since week 1. We said O.J. Howard is probably going to have a regression here after his great week last week with 2 touchdowns. Then he goes right after with 2 targets and 2 catches for 16 yards. So that's what to expect from a rookie tight end besides Evan Engram, because he has so much opportunity. With the Giants, O.J. Howard with Tampa Bay, Cameron, their other tight end, Cameron Brate, is pretty much a top 10 guy right now. So I would rather have Hunter Henry. I think New England just kind of shut, they game planned for Hunter Henry and really shut Phillip Rivers down, the quarterback. And that's why Hunter Henry had a bad game.
All right, let's look at a couple defenses that let us down. The Texans got absolutely lit up by Seattle and Russell Wilson. They let up 38 points and had -4 fantasy points, so I really hope you didn't have them in your lineups. The Raiders similarly had -1 fantasy points, and then the Dolphins. I think there's a theme here of our duds. The Dolphins had a 40-0 loss on Thursday night against the Ravens, and that's just not impressive at all. Cody Parkey, their kicker, is our dud kicker of the week with just 1 field goal attempt that he missed. This team is just a mess right now.
They looked horrible on Thursday.
They could really, you know what they could really use? A bye week on Miami Beach, but I don't think they're getting
it. Yep, they're not. They looked like a college team playing against the Ravens Thursday. All right, let's talk about the waiver wire for Week 8 and moving forward. Some waiver wire pickups for your team that can help you win your league in Week 8. Or sorry, Week 9. All right, some guys. Robbie Anderson. Just going to highlight a couple guys. Robbie Anderson on the New York Jets, wide receiver. 6 targets, 6 receptions, over 100 yards. It looks like he's developing a pretty good rapport with Josh McCown. Looks like maybe the number 1 option there, which isn't saying much, but still a speculative ad that you can put on your bench and feel pretty good about. Another speculative ad, Paul Richardson on Seattle has had 3 touchdowns the past 2 weeks, over 100 yards in Week 8 and 2 touchdowns. So obviously Doug Baldwin is the main guy there, but Paul Richardson definitely worth a pickup there.
Yeah, both those guys are guys that can get behind defenses and make big plays. That's the reason I definitely would suggest adding either one as a speculative ad this week, because you might have a Will Fuller situation on your hands if they keep it up.
Yeah, and the 2 other guys, hopefully you picked this guy up already. Alex Collins on Baltimore, the running back. Terrence West is the other running back there, but he's been hurt, and Alex Collins has filled in really nicely. But still, Collins just had over 100 yards through the through rushing and a couple of passes that he caught as well and looked really good. So pick him up if you need some running back help. And then another quarterback, I know you want to talk about him, Jimmy Garoppolo, just got traded from New England. Just got traded from New England to San Francisco. So he is a 49er, Jimmy Garoppolo, the longtime New England backup.
First off, this guy to me, well, actually, before I even get into Jimmy Garoppolo, remember Alex Collins was on my my Hail Mary list a couple weeks ago. He's been really good, especially, he's not much of a pass catcher, but he's been really good between the tackles and is starting to emerge there. I think him and Javorius Allen are kind of a nice, sneaky 1-2 punch there for the Ravens, especially when they beat up teams with their defense. I think it's a really nice style of play for them. But Jimmy Garoppolo, this guy is the anti-Trevor Siemian. This guy is just a good-looking California. I'm pretty sure he's from California. He's got a great name. He comes from a great situation in New England where I'm sure he learned a ton under Belichick and Brady. And I think he's ready to take this franchise over. I think I would pump the brakes on him for this year, but I think next year we're talking about a guy that is probably going to be a fantasy starter. I think he is phenomenal. I think he's walking into a great offensive system with Kyle Shanahan, and his weapons aren't really great right now, but I think if they make some moves in the offseason, you could be looking at a future franchise quarterback. For this year, I think he's more of a QB2 and hopefully opens things up for Pierre Garçon, even guys like Marquise Goodwin or Matt Breida, who is more of the pass-catching back than Hyde is. I think Garoppolo could have a nice positive impact on the rest of the San Francisco players. So keep him on your radar. Maybe not pick him up this week, but if he comes out of the gate hot, you might want to have him.
Yeah, and honestly, I'd rather have Jimmy Garoppolo with his upside over a player like let's say you got ravaged by injuries and you have Case Keenum or hopefully you don't. It's not that bad, or a Brett Hundley. I'd rather have Garoppolo, but I'd even rather have Garoppolo over like an Andy Dalton, where you know what you're getting out of Andy Dalton. Obviously, he's going to have good games, but he's going to have some shitty games. Garoppolo has the upside there that you're looking for out of a quarterback flyer. Maybe you drafted a Marcus Mariota and he's been doing terribly this year, and you need quarterback help, then do a speculative ad for Garoppolo, put him on your bench and see what he can do. Guys that are cuttable in redraft leagues, Terrell Pryor was barely on the field. He put up a goose egg, 0 catches, 0 yards, nothing. Josh Doxson, the other wide receiver, got a touchdown, only 1 catch, but not looking good for Terrell Pryor. He has all the physical tools you're looking for, but just not getting the opportunity. So he's cuttable. Another player that's cuttable, running back Eddie Lacy had 6 rushes for 0 yards.
Yikes.
So it's not good. And Thomas Rawls had 6 rushes for -1 yard. So they combined for 12 rushes for -1 yards against the Texans. Maybe their line turns around, but right now it's tough rostering them. All right, so buy low and sell high, guys. Buy low. We just talked about Jameis Winston. Obviously, he had 3 turnovers, but should turn around. He's been pretty good on the turnover differential this year. And again, had an AC joint sprain the other week, so should be fine moving forward. Fringe QB1, a good guy to buy low on after a bad week. And then Michael Thomas, the New Orleans Saints wide receiver, hasn't really put together too many good weeks, but a buy low guy for sure. Especially with Willie Snead coming into his own and relieving the pressure on the other side and in the slot.
Yeah, I think the Saints have really gotten to where they are right now by running the ball, but I think opposing defenses are going to start to key in on that, and I think they're going to have to throw the ball more, and I think when they do, Michael Thomas is going to be the main beneficiary. I think he's in for a really big second half of the year, kind of like what he did last year. So I think Michael Thomas is someone I would definitely go after. He's kind of a wide receiver 1 that's no one's really talking about right now. So I think he's definitely a nice buy low target at this point in the season.
Yeah, another guy you got to watch for his health, but Devontae Freeman didn't get a ton of work this past week because he got hurt. So watch his health, but he did have a pretty bad game. So if you could get him at a low price, I would do that. Obviously, Tevin Coleman, the other running back on Atlanta, had more carries and touches, but basically that's because Devontae Freeman got hurt. So got to keep on the buy low list there. I have one sell high. I know we differ on this, Sean. My sell high guy is Will Fuller. He's been doing incredible. Don't get me wrong. but I don't know when it's going to stop this production. He had 5 receptions, 125 yards, 2 touchdowns against Seattle, which, I mean, you do that against Seattle, you're looking pretty for the rest of the year probably. That's a really tough matchup. But at the same time, that was a shootout. I just don't know where to value him, and I don't think the touchdowns are going to sustain for the amount of targets he's getting. He did get 8 targets this past week, but it's not even that. It's not a ton, and DeAndre Hopkins is the main guy there, so maybe he's a wide receiver 2 for the rest of the year, but at the same time, you could get wide receiver 1 value out of him for how good he's been doing. So that's the only sell high case I would say there. But I think regardless if you have him or not, you got to plug him into your lineup moving forward.
Yeah, I kind of think of him more as like a premier flex guy right now, just because you likely pick this guy up off waivers, so you probably are plugging him in there anyway. My real problem with him as a sell high target is I'm not really sure what people are going to be willing to pay to get him. I still feel like people are undervaluing him. I think obviously people are thrilled with what he's doing right now, but I don't think people are going to be willing to part with a high-end wide receiver 2 for a guy like Will Fuller right now, and they might not ever. Maybe next year they would be willing to do that, but I think it's going to be really tough to use him to get a better player because, I don't know, just a little bit of the stigma of picking the guy up off waivers and, trading him away. I think people are going to likely be shying away from offering a ton for him. If they do, I'd go for it. I agree. But I just think you're not going to get as much as he's giving you at the moment.
This episode of Unqualified is sponsored by Stock Bottom. Do you know a guy who knows a guy who knows a guy that told you to throw all your money into a stock that you don't know anything about, but it was supposedly supposed to be hitting $100 a share, which is a 50% increase within a 2-week period? Well, guess what? It didn't work out. You lost all your money. Well, that's why Stock Bottom exists. It's a hotline for people who have just thrown their life savings down in the garbage. Because you know what happens when that happens? Bad things happen. So you know what you should do? Instead of investing in ROPE, you should call Stock Bottom Hotline. They'll talk you off the ledge. They'll give you all the know-how to keep your cool. Don't freak out. You'll get that money back. It's money. It's not time. You can't get your time back. You can't get your time that you spent to get that money back, but you will get that money back. You just got to wait it out. Stock Bottom, baby. Call them up.
All right, let's move on to our Would You Rather section for Week 9. We have a really special edition this week featuring the Alex Dumala, member of the OG, that stands for Original League. Currently, he's 3-5, one of our buddies in the OG League. 3-5, he's chasing Sean and I in the Sudden Valley division of the OG League. But Dumala, what's going on? Welcome.
I gotta say, it's a big honor to be the first guest ever on Undisputed Podcast. Big fan of the show. What?
Skip and Shannon.
It's all right. He's actually the second guest. So.
I'm proud to be here on the Undisclosed Podcast.
On the qualified...
I'm sorry, Sean reminds me of Shannon Sharp, I swear. On the Unqualified Podcast.
I'm here I'm glad to be here on Classified Information Podcast.
That was actually really funny. I was going to go with it.
Thanks for having me on the Unqualified Podcast. I'm obviously a big fan. You guys are my boys. And I just want to say I'm a second half team. That's all I got to say. I like my suspended players so they get rest, and I go for the playoff push. That's what I do.
Uh-huh. Zeke, right? Yeah. Great idea. Yeah.
Free Zeke.
Free Zeke. Zeke did not do it. Yeah, there you go. Just like to point out that you always own those type of guys. Like you're like the Zeke owner that just gets in everyone's faces. That's like, oh, you guys you're idiots for not drafting Zeke. We got him in like the 3rd round, and meanwhile he's probably going to get suspended, and you're going to miss out on half his production. Just saying.
I'll take those 2 huge weeks, and I'll enjoy
you did
them.
pretty well. All right, let's get into it. So we're going to talk about each position: quarterback, running back, wide receiver, tight end for Week 9. Basically, a lot of them are flex guys, so you're choosing between one or the other, most likely. But first, we're going to get into teams on bye. We got Chicago Bears, Cleveland Browns. Not much going on with those 2 teams, so don't really worry about it. LA Chargers, Minnesota Vikings, New England Patriots, and Pittsburgh Steelers, all on bye for
Brutal.
Week 9, so get them out of your lineups. Yeah. Especially the Chicago Bears. Get them all out of your lineups, guys. all those guys not named Jordan Howard.
Adam, breakout candidate.
Yeah, great idea. Don't pick him up, by the way, guys. All right, quarterback. Let's get into our good matchup for Week 9. Drew Brees, versus Tampa Bay, or Derek Carr at Miami. Yeah, I think I said bees there.
He's got
Sorry.
like bees on his subconscious. Like even when we were filling out the funky would you rather, he was talking about bees, and I was like, dude, come on, it's Halloween week.
I was again.
You got to move past
For
that.
like the second week in a row. I don't know what's going on with me and bees.
I don't know, but I'm going
Sorry.
with Drew Brees out of these two guys just because he's better right now than Derek Carr. He's much more consistent, and Tampa Bay is pretty awful in that they're just never going to get a rest with their no bye week since week 1. So I'll go with Drew Brees over Derek Carr.
Yeah, I'm taking Breeze also. Derek Carr just shit the bed against Buffalo, and we saw him have a 30-point week the week before he played Buffalo with a good matchup. I think he's more matchup dependent than we thought coming into the year. So he's a fringe quarterback 1, but Drew Brees is a locked-in QB 1, especially against Tampa Bay. So I agree. What do you got, Dumala?
And we're going 3 for 3 with Drew Brees. I'm a big fan. You drafted him early. He's home against Tampa Bay. This is the week that you reap the rewards for taking him early.
Agreed. Rob, do you concur? 4 for 4?
Absolutely.
Good.
That guy is good. He's good at football.
Glad we asked you. Yeah. Moderate matchup. Jared Goff at New York Giants or Tyrod Taylor at New York Jets.
This is interesting because it's basically gambling on which New York defense is going to play worse at this point. I never thought I would say this coming into the year. I think I'd rather have Jared Goff this week. I think the Giants are a dumpster fire. Their defense isn't terrible, but their offense can't do anything. So I think the Rams are going to roll them over. I think Jared Goff could have a nice week.
I'll take Tyrod Taylor. That run game is getting going with LaShawn McCoy. Tyrod Taylor has Jordan Matthews back, who's getting back from injury, so he has a couple more weapons. And the Jets have been good on defense, obviously, but Giants just had their bye week, and Goff is a very matchup-dependent quarterback. And while the Giants haven't been great, I'll still take Tyrod Taylor with those legs at the New York Jets.
I'm also going with Tyrod Taylor. I'm actually playing Goff as a replacement for Brady this week, but Tyrod at the Jets, I like the way he's been playing. The Jets, I think, are going to start fading down the stretch, and he can run pass, so I'm a big fan of him this week.
You bite your tongue saying the Jets are going to...
No, let's get a nice quarterback. We need a quarterback.
I think they're going to be fading a little bit. They're going to start looking to the future, playing some more young guys, and you're going to get some young mistakes.
Yeah, I'm just kidding. We thought they would be 0-8 at this point, so I agree with you.
I thought my Bears were going to be 0-8 also, so I feel your pain.
I agree with Dumala on this one.
Yeah. Oh, thanks, Rob. Thanks for your input.
Yeah. Just so you might want to know that.
Yeah, no. I was going to ask you next, actually. Yeah. Cool. All right, good. Bad matchup. Kirk Cousins at Seattle or Marcus Mariota versus Baltimore at home.
Oh boy, both these guys have let me down, and one of my teams I have both actually, and Marcus Mariota let me down 2 weeks ago. Kirk Cousins let me down this week. I don't even know which one I could trust more at this point, but I think I got to go with Kirk Cousins just because he's got a little bit more offensive firepower at his disposal. Chris Thompson's been a stud, so and biggest reason here is Seattle just got lit up by Deshaun Watson. So I'll go with Kirk Cousins.
Yeah, I was just going to say Deshaun Watson. They had a big shootout. That was one of the best games of the year. Russell Wilson and Deshaun Watson playing against each other, and I think this will be like a shootout also. Seattle has a propensity to get into those kind of games. So I could see there were some cracks in that Seattle defense that Will Fuller got through, DeAndre Hopkins. So I'll take Kirk as well at Seattle.
I'm also going with Captain Kirk this week. I actually think he's going to finish as a top 12 quarterback. Seattle just traded a cornerback to pick up a offensive tackle this week. And the way they just got lit up by a rookie quarterback, Kirk Cousins is going to be a little angry after losing a division matchup. So I think he's going to play very well this week.
Woo! Yeah, dude, wait.
Damn.
Real quick, what is going on with the Redskins?
Some hot takes.
Redskins lose to the Eagles twice and the Cowboys once. There's no way they're that bad, right? So they have to be bouncing back at some point.
I don't know. I think Dallas is just... you saw Zeke. Zeke was just running angry that game.
Yeah.
I think this is the last game he figured he was going to get in before the suspension. He was just angry.
I'm going with Marcus Marinara. Right? Is that the right one?
Yeah.
That's our guy.
All right.
Throw some spaghetti
Terrible
passes
pick, Rob.
against Baltimore.
Give me some mott sticks with the marinara sauce. Oh yeah, wild card. Okay, here we go. So, would you rather be methodically pursued by Michael Myers or be stuck in the Blair Witch Woods?
I'm gonna
Choose
go.
wisely.
I'm gonna go with. This is a really tough one, but I like the Halloween theme here. I'm gonna go with Blair Witch Woods.
Oh, no way.
Because Michael Myers, doesn't he have like a thing where he can teleport like wherever people are or something?
What?
It's kind of like
Maybe I.
ambiguous. with
Wait,
him.
Mike Myers is an actor,
No,
like a real
no, we're
person.
talking about it from Halloween.
Talking about the Halloween
What?
movie, you dummy.
Wow.
If we're talking about
okay.
Austin Powers, I'll
Oh,
take that one, no
wow.
doubt. That's not even a question.
Oh wow!
Oh wow.
Oh,
I thought you were talking about Mike Myers.
Yeah, well, his name in the movie is Michael Myers. Yeah.
Oh, God.
Like,
All right,
Jesus.
go on.
Scott, I'm gonna
Yeah,
disagree.
baby.
I'm disagreeing with Scott. Sorry to cut you off, but I don't want to be stuck in the Blair Witch Woods. You'll lose your mind out there. Tell me why you want to be there, and then maybe I'll
Damala, what do you
reconsider.
think about this?
I'm going to say I'd rather be pursued by Michael Myers. First reason, Blair Witch Project was a terrible movie. Everyone was building this movie up. I was in like a film class, and my professor was like, "Oh, the camera work is so cool." And I watch it, and it's just a shaky camera. It's a shaky camera, and it pissed me off. If I'm paying for a movie, I want to sit down and enjoy it. No shakes. And the second reason is there's no food or drink in the woods, man. Like, I at least want a snack or a beverage if I'm getting chased by some psychopath.
Wait, what's
That
your
sounds
go-to
tiring.
snack that you're? What's the go-to snack that you just made tonight that you would make that makes it worth being pursued by
all right.
Michael Myers?
I had a
fucking
hot
hot
dog
dog?
with mustard, but that's not what I would have as my snack. It would be those flat pretzel chips.
Oh, those are good.
Those are elite.
No, those are good. I'm with
No,
you.
they're not.
The
Everyone
flat
knows the regular
pretzel
They
pretzels
are good,
better.
but yeah, they're good. They're good, but like if you're eating those pretzel chips while you're running away from Michael Myers, you're gonna get real thirsty real quick,
and he's gonna
and then
hear
you're
you
gonna get caught
crunching.
faster.
He's gonna hear you crunching.
Yeah.
He's gonna know where you are.
I'll take my chances. I need the carbs. I'm going to do all that cardio.
Got to carb up.
All right, respectable. I respect it.
Respect.
All right, I'm gonna take a different stance on this one. I'm going to assume that Michael Myers is Mike Myers the actor, and in that case, I definitely would rather be methodically pursued by him.
Yeah,
And
baby.
I don't know what kind of pursuit he's in. Maybe it's I don't know. Maybe it's getting a little freaky. So
Maybe he's on the town bicycle.
I'll go with that one.
All right, let's
Yeah.
move on to running backs here. Good matchup: Adrian Peterson versus San Francisco, or Marshawn Lynch at Miami. What do we got?
I mean, I already know what Scott's going with because he's just the number one Marshawn Lynch hater in the world. With that being said,
For a good reason.
I think Adrian Peterson will probably have a nice game against San Francisco this week, so I'll go with him.
Yeah, I think the Cardinals are going to be up against San Francisco, and like when they're up, Peterson gets the rock. Even with Drew Stanton throwing the ball, I think he'll still have a good amount of rushes. And San Francisco is literally the worst ranked rush defense.
Yeah, this is an easy one for me. Adrian Peterson. Me, I am also a big Marshawn Lynch hater.
Ugh,
I don't even
yeah.
think he will finish as the top scoring Oakland running back this week.
I couldn't agree more there. I love that. That's why we have you on here.
I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go with whatever Damala says. So it's Adrian Peterson.
Damala's giving some hot takes. This is good shit. All right, moderate
Cool.
matchup: Carlos Hyde versus Arizona, or Aaron Jones versus Detroit.
This is tough. Carlos Hyde came out the gate really hot to start the year, but right now Aaron Jones is just playing better football, so I'll go with Aaron Jones against Detroit.
Yeah, he's hot. Aaron Jones versus Detroit. Le'Veon Bell. I mean, it's Le'Veon Bell, but he had a really good game against Detroit's rush defense. And Aaron Jones has scored a touchdown in 3 of the last 4 games he's started and gotten at least double-digit carries. So I'll take him. Hyde is too up and down for me, especially against Arizona.
I'm also going with Aaron Jones because he's hot like my takes.
I'm also going with Aaron Jones because Damala says he's going with Aaron Jones.
Nice. Good job, Rob.
Thanks, Rob.
Bad matchup. DeMarco Murray versus Baltimore, or Joe Mixon at Jacksonville.
This one I think is the one that I'm finally gonna break from popular consensus here. I'm going to say Joe Mixon. I think Jacksonville is very good against the pass, but not great against the run. And I think Joe Mixon will finally break out this week at Jacksonville. DeMarco Murray, he's at always a risk to not finish a game, and I think Derrick Henry is still part of things there. So give me Joe Mixon.
I'm going to take Murray. Joe Mixon has been averaging like 2.8 yards per carry this year. He's getting the ball a lot with the new offensive coordinator since week 3, Bill Lazor, but that hasn't translated to anything fantasy-wise. And most of his points last week came from a 60-plus yard catch and run. So I'll take DeMarco Murray. He's off the bye week. Hopefully he's fully healthy. Derrick Henry had a bad week before the bye week, 13 carries for 13 yards. So I think they're going to give the ball a lot to Murray, even against Baltimore. That doesn't scare me too much because of the volume I think he'll get.
Okay, I'm going to be a little indecisive here. So I'm going to take DeMarco Murray in standard leagues, but in PPR, I think Joe Mixon's the better play.
Flip-flopper.
I'm a flip-flopper.
I like that. Another hot take.
I'm going to go with DeMarco Murray because I wanted to take anybody who's related to Bill Murray.
They're father-son.
Yeah, it's his son.
Yeah.
All right, and now we have the wild card. Would you rather pay $35 and wait 2 hours to go through a shitty 5-minute haunted maze, or be forced to wear the $70 female Top Gun costume for multiple Halloweens/Halloween parties?
All right, so just a little backstory for the listeners out there, the avid listeners. If you remember, last week we went to Fright Fest at Six Flags. Had to pay $35 for an additional ticket to get through a haunted maze. We waited 2 hours, and it was 5 minutes, and it sucked. So one of our buddies wore a female Top Gun costume, and it didn't look like a female costume. It was just really tight on him. So I'd probably do that because it's like pretty funny. It's like comedic relief there. I'll do that. I'm not waiting 2 hours to go through a shitty maze again.
It was basically like the
way that
Office
you
episode,
described that, it
like
sounded
where
like the reason he wore the female. Go ahead.
I mean, you just kept going anyway. Let's go for it.
I'm also going to go with wearing the Top Gun. I'm also going with the Top Gun costume because it makes my butt look nice. And I'm not going anywhere near Six Flags because I do not like roller coasters. I think they're a waste of money.
Fair enough.
Unpopular
That's a hot
opinion.
take.
Damn.
Oh, my God.
Fair enough.
That is unpopular. All right, and the wild card. Would you rather pay $35 and wait 2 hours to go through a shitty 5-minute haunted maze, or be forced to wear the $70 female Top Gun costume for multiple Halloweens/Halloween parties?
All right, a little backstory for the avid listeners out there. We did that 2 weekends ago. We waited 2 hours to go through a 5-minute haunted maze that we paid $35 for at Six Flags.
Six Flags. Go fuck yourself.
Yeah, good job, Six Flags. The $70 female Top Gun costume, I don't think it looks like a guy could wear it, and you would think it's a guy's costume, and it would be funny otherwise because it's like really tight on you. So I'll just do that.
I'm just picturing the episode of The Office where Michael Scott is like walking around in a female suit the whole day, and somebody calls him out on it, and then he just has like an existential crisis. With that being said, I'll still go with the female Top Gun costume just because, that 2 hour, like, yeah, it's a little, you're spending double the amount of money, but you can't get those 2 hours back no matter what. You can at least have fun at the Halloween party, regardless of what you're wearing. It's really hard to have fun waiting 2 hours in line, so I'll go with that one.
Yeah, I'm also going with the Top Gun Halloween costume. One, it's going to make my butt look nice. And two, unpopular opinion, I do not like roller coasters, so I do not want to support Six Flags in any way financially. They can go suck it. Except for Dippin' Dots. I will support Dippin' Dots any day of the week.
All right, wait, couple questions before you go, Rob. What flavor of Dippin' Dots is your favorite, and why do you hate roller coasters so much?
Okay, my favorite flavor of Dippin' Dots is obviously cookies and cream.
Yep.
Because I'm a big Oreos guy.
Big
Oreos guy. You get the Oreo cookie in there and the vanilla. And the reason I don't like roller coasters is because, one, you have to pay like an absorbent amount of money just to get into the park, right? And then if you don't get the fast pass, you basically just wait there for like 2 hours to get on the good roller coasters. So you know what? Screw them.
Pretty much how it goes.
I don't support them anymore.
Completely agree.
I like that.
Yeah, that cut to the core of me.
You just wait for everything in there. I agree.
Yeah, you
literally
basically
wait for
just
everything.
pay to like wait on lines, and then you
All
get
day.
like 1 or 2 minutes of like adrenaline rush, like insanity, and then you go and wait on another line. It's actually crazy because it's like the two opposite things. It's like waiting on line is the most boring thing in the world, and I guess it makes the roller coaster seem that much better because you're just so fucking bored. All right, I support Dumala in not supporting Six Flags. I'm gonna go with the $70 Top Gun costume because you're gonna see every centimeter of me in that thing, and
That sounds scary.
and I'd rather be walking around attracting attention than waiting on a line for no reason.
Sounds scary. It's a good Halloween costume, though.
Yep.
All right. By the way, Six Flags sponsor us. Wide receivers, good matchup.
I don't think they're
Yeah, give us-
sponsoring us.
how about-
Yeah.
How about Six Flags? Just give us our money back.
Yeah, right? Glorified DMV.
Glorified DMV. That's incredible.
Oh my God, that's a great one. We should tweet at them from Unqualified FF and tell them they're like a DMV. But sponsor us anyway.
Yeah.
Wide receivers, good matchup. T.Y. Hilton at Houston or Will Fuller versus Indianapolis. Little square off there.
Scott, I know you're not a believer in Will Fuller, but he's my guy. This guy is just incredible. He's unstoppable. You got to roll with him. I mean, T.Y. Hilton might not even be on the Colts by the time they play the game. So, I'll go with Will Fuller here.
Yeah, some trade rumors surrounding T.Y. Hilton. Looks like Indianapolis could just strip their team down and really get some assets or draft picks there. Having said that, I'm going to go, Will Fuller versus Indianapolis. They've been terrible against the pass. Vontae Davis, their top cornerback on Indianapolis, might get traded as well. So that could open up some passing lanes for Will Fuller, and he's been unbelievable this year. Might have been wrong about him and his touchdown sustainability there.
I'm also going to go with Will Fuller. It's not that I really think either of these guys are that great this week, despite their good matchups. It's more of that I do not trust Indianapolis on offense, except my man Jack Doyle. Shout out to Jack Doyle. And I think Indianapolis is so putrid that Will Fuller could find his way in the end zone somehow, like he always does.
I'm gonna go with Will Fuller because of Full House. I just thought of Full House.
Wait, what about Fuller House?
Nice.
About what?
Fuller
Ooh.
House.
You're not going with Paris Hilton's
Fuller
cousin?
House. Exactly. Paris Hilton's cousin?
Yeah,
What?
T.Y. Hilton.
Wait, what?
T.Y. Hilton is the other
Oh,
side of that
Hilton.
matchup. Oh, man.
Oh, I thought you were talking about Nicole Richie.
I thought we were talking about Will Fuller still. I was like, he's what? I like that. All right, moderate matchup. Devontae Adams versus Detroit or Demaryius Thomas at Philly.
These are two kind of like low-end wide receiver twos just based on their quarterback play right now. I think Devontae Adams could have a nice week, especially with Darius Slay likely shadowing Jordy Nelson. I think Devontae Adams, hopefully Brett Hundley figured some things out over the bye. It's tough to trust Trevor Siemian right now and Demaryius Thomas, so I'll go with Devontae Adams.
I'll take Demaryius Thomas. He's just a target machine, and especially if Emmanuel Sanders sits out another week, which remains to be seen. I'm just going to take Thomas in terms of his talent and opportunity level. Devontae Adams did terribly with his first full game with Brett Hundley, and even with the bye week, I don't think they figured it out enough for him to have value versus Detroit.
Yeah, I'm also going to go with Demaryius Thomas strictly because he's the number one receiver. He's going to be getting more targets. And I haven't seen anything that I like out of Green Bay quarterback play since Rodgers has gone down so far.
I'm going with Adams because it's Halloween and I'm thinking about the Adams family.
Spelled differently, though. I think the Adams family is 2 Ds.
Well, now we're splitting hairs. Thanks.
Hey,
Scott.
Rob, why don't you give us a little vocal from the Adams family?
I don't even know how that works.
Da-na-na-na.
The
theme
Adams
song.
family.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not bad. Work on that, and then by the time we get to tight ends, hopefully you have it better.
All right.
Bad matchup: Doug Baldwin versus
Scott just got
Washington,
mean.
or Alshon Jeffrey versus Denver. It was a quick thing, but like You could have done better, I think. That's all I'm saying.
You're the music guy, man.
Yeah, you're right.
You're AV.
Out of Baldwin and Jeffrey, I think I'll go with Baldwin, just because Russell Wilson's been playing just absolutely lights out. And I think Baldwin moves around a little bit more than Jeffrey does. I think Jeffrey will probably see Aqib Talib most of the game. I think Baldwin can escape Josh Norman and get himself open for a couple of big plays.
Yeah, I'll go Baldwin too. He's by far the number one guy there. Even though Paul Richardson had a really good game, 2 touchdowns over 100 yards, it's not as sustainable as Baldwin getting the lion's share of targets there, and he's coming into his own. Josh Norman might be back, but at the same time, Norman hasn't been a shutdown corner as much as previous years. Jeffrey's just too big play dependent, and especially against Denver, the no-fly zone. I'll take Baldwin.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Alshon Jeffrey this week. I really like what Carson Wentz is doing. Alshon's a big, bad man, and I think he's going to get 70 yards and a touchdown this week. And I think Josh Norman coming back. You saw what Washington's pass defense did to Dak Prescott last week. And I don't think Seattle's going to have another big week like that on offense.
I was going to say I went with Doug Baldwin because Alex Baldwin was on Saturday Night Live a couple times. So, wild card. Would you rather get 100 mini bags of pretzels? What? Would you rather get 100 mini bags of pretzels trick-or-treating or 100 bags of Almond Joys and granola bars?
Oof. Yikes. This is like pretzels versus like the absolute bottom of the barrel of candy. Almond Joys and granola bars, if they even qualify. I mean, I'm not thrilled with either one, but at least the pretzels are like a nice, like salty alternative to the sweet candy. You know, they probably go stale pretty quick, but I'll still go with the pretzels.
I'm going to go with, I don't mind Almond Joys, and I love granola bars, but it has to be, what's the brand I like? I forget the brand I like, but like the oatmeal brand. Pretzels, like 100 bags, is just a little overkill. And if I'm having pretzels, I want to eat it out of a big bag, not like 50 or 100 mini bags. It's just going to make me feel like a fat piece of shit. And again, I don't mind Almond Joy, so I'm gonna go with that. Regardless, at least it's not raisins. We can agree on that.
All right, I'm gonna go with the 100 mini bags of pretzels. And you know what's even worse than raisins? Before I explain why, the people who give you pennies.
Oh yeah,
those people are the worst. Like, listen,
we were just
Granny,
talking about that.
Listen,
like
Granny,
quarters.
it's not 1925 anymore. Like, we don't want quarters, you know. But
that's wait, is that worse than getting raisins?
Yes.
Would you rather get pennies and nickels or raisins?
Raisins.
I think I'd rather get raisins too.
Yeah,
Yep,
I'd rather
I
get
agree.
raisins.
What are you gonna do with a penny?
Yeah.
You can't even buy like those bazooka gum with it anymore. Like, it's useless.
You can't even like put
it
a penny in
put
the
it in
bank.
a jar.
You know what you could do with it, Scott? You could throw it at the homeless guy you kicked.
God.
Scott's mortal enemy.
Oh,
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. I did not kick that man. Everyone's gonna think I'm a big piece of shit. Whatever. Anyway, the brand I was talking about was Quaker Oats Chewy.
I'm
Chewy
going.
Yep.
That's what I was thinking of.
I'm going.
I didn't kick a fucking homeless man. Okay, I would never do that.
Yeah, we know. I'm going 100 bags of Almond Joys and granola bars because the pretzels are. I said it before and I'll say it again. Your mouth is gonna get dry, and
You don't have to eat them all at once.
There's not much. There's not once it's dry. There's not much you can do. Like, you can drink water, but it's gonna take at least a few hours to get the hydration back into your mouth. And beyond that, if you're eating 100 mini bags of pretzels, your tongue is gonna disintegrate. You're just gonna scrape it to hell, and it's gonna be all sore, and it's gonna be terrible. So I'd rather get at least half of my things are healthy granola bars. You know, Almond Joys. Obviously, I'm gonna kill myself when I have to eat those, but like, I'd rather eat something healthy for a little bit.
Oh my God, are you done? That was the most excessive explanation.
And before I
ever.
finish my statement, I just
No one said you have to eat them all at the same time,
Jesus
did they?
Christ.
So
Yeah.
No one's making you do that. No.
yeah, well, whatever. That's
All right,
how
can we
I
move on to tight
interpreted
ends?
it. Okay.
Did you work on the Addams Family jingle thing?
And the Addams Family, boom, boom.
Oh, it's even worse.
I don't know
Tight
any of
ends.
that other thing. The Addams Family. They give you bags of pretzels, and then they give you granola bars and some almond joys, and then they throw you off a cliff.
That's
Da-na-na-na.
so bad.
Banana.
So, all right, shut up.
Scott, you did literally ask for it, so.
You guys are supposed to do the. All right, I'm done.
God, I didn't ask for 3 minutes of an explanation and a 3-minute Addams Family thing.
Go ahead. Let's move on to the next one.
Jesus Christ. Tight end, a good matchup.
Go
Vernon Davis.
ahead. No, I'm not gonna.
Vernon, all right.
Go ahead.
Vernon Davis.
I'm not gonna. All right, go ahead. I'm not gonna do it this time.
Vernon
You can
Davis.
go. I'm not gonna. Oh,
at
sorry. You go.
Seattle, or Austin Safarian Jenkins versus Buffalo. Keep in mind, Jordan Reed is probably ruled out at Seattle.
Yeah, with Jordan Reed out, I'll go with Vernon Davis at Seattle. I think, like you said earlier, I think that game might be a shootout. And, Austin Safarian Jenkins has played well, but Buffalo's really, really tough on D. So give me Vernon Davis stepping up as a new starter.
Yeah, I'll go Davis as well. Seattle's defense hasn't been great against the tight ends. Vernon Davis is probably one of the best backup tight ends, even at his age. So I'll take Davis as well.
And I'm going to be the contrarian here and go with Austin Safarian Jenkins. I really like what the Jets' passing attack has been doing this year, which I never thought I would say at the beginning of the year. And and also after watching Washington this year, I just cannot figure out who they're going to be throwing it to. I thought it was going to be Crowder, and I thought it was going to be Pryor, and I thought it was going to be Vernon Davis, and I was wrong every time. So I'm avoiding wide pass catchers on Washington for the rest of the year. Get away.
I don't blame you at all.
Get away from me, Washington. I hate you, Kirk Cousins.
Ew, you're gross, Washington.
I'm going to go with Austin Safarian Jenkins because he's got a cool name and because Dumala spoke with a lot of confidence about him.
Good job, Rob.
He was convinced.
Great job.
Yeah, he had a lot of conviction.
All right, moderate matchup. Jack Doyle at Houston or Evan Engram versus the Los Angeles Rams.
I mean, we just saw Jimmy Graham kind of have a really good game against Houston. I'll go with Jack Doyle, especially coming off a really hot week. Evan Engram coming off the bye is nice, but Jack Doyle kind of looking like a top 5-ish tight end if he keeps it up, just based on how thin the position is.
I'm going to go Evan Engram. He's been a little bit way more consistent than Jack Doyle all year. And yes, Jack Doyle had the best game of the season, but that probably is the best game of the season. He's probably not going to have another game like that. Jimmy Graham only had 5 targets with 2 touchdowns, so I feel like Jack Doyle wouldn't be able to do that. But Evan Engram, I feel like that's going to be a shootout at the Rams or versus the Rams, so I'll take him.
So I think they're both pretty close. I think they're both going to finish with about 55 yards, and you're banking on the touchdown. However, Jack Doyle was a beast for me this week, so Jack Doyle is my guy. You the man, Jack. And I gave you a shout-out earlier, so you the man, Jack.
Sponsor us.
Yeah, tweet at us, Jack. Sponsor
Jack
us.
Doyle. I'm going Jack Doyle because Doyle rules.
Excellent.
The Doyle rules. All right,
Doyle
bad
rules.
matchup. Delaney Walker versus Baltimore or Jason Witten versus Kansas City.
These are kind of like the older guys in the tight end guard. I'll go with Delaney Walker. I think he just has a little bit more upside as far as yardage is concerned. Jason Witten is probably more of a lock to be a red zone target, but give me Delaney Walker versus Baltimore.
Yeah, I'll go just to be different. I'm just going to go Witten. No reason. I just want to go Witten.
He's smitten.
I'm also going to go with Jason Witten. I think Kansas City's defense is not as scary as they seem on paper. And Baltimore's defense has been fierce this year, man. After what they did to Miami, I'm terrified. I'm freaking out every time I hear Baltimore's defense. It reminds me of the old days when they got Ray Lewis.
Yeah. Them and the Steelers. They used to be like the top 2 defenses. They're both back.
I'm going Jason Witten. I'm smitten by Witten. And Kansas City's been eating too much Chick-fil-A, so I'm betting that their arteries are clogged up, and they're just going to take a nap out on the field. So, all right, let's move on. Wild card. Would you rather have to walk through a hall of spiders or inadvertently touch a tarantula?
No question for me. I would rather walk through a hall of spiders. First off, there's no part in there that says you have to necessarily touch one of them. for me, I feel like just knowing that I touched a tarantula, like it makes me want to gag just thinking about it right now. If you would pick the second one, go watch a YouTube video of a tarantula or something. Just like Google it. Those things are disgusting. Oh my God. I would much rather walk through the hall of spiders. No question.
Well, you have to walk, and you don't know how long this hall is. So I'm going to inadvertently quickly touch a tarantula because it could be literally 0.1 seconds.
Yeah.
And walking through a whole hall, you don't even know how packed the hall is of spiders.
How
either.
dense is that hall?
It could be packed to the brim. Like you could have to like sift through these spiders. They could be 6 feet tall, like just stacked up. You know what I mean? And you have to walk. You can't run. Too bad you can't run. And it could be a mile long. So I'll just touch a tarantula. It's fine.
Yeah, I'm terrified of like lizards, spiders, like snakes, anything that like slithers or is slimy or scaly. So I'm gonna touch the tarantula quickly, like because like he's got hair, so it's like adjacent to a mammal, which makes me feel a little better about him. And second,
grosser.
But you never thought that the Hall of Spiders is gonna have mad spider webs. That's gonna be getting in your face and your hair, and I ain't about that life. So I'm gonna quickly touch the mammal adjace and end it like that.
That's a great call with the spider webs.
Dumala. I was thinking the same thing. I'm touching the tarantula because God knows how many spiders are in that hallway. God knows how many webs are in that hallway. And if you've ever walked through a spider web, you know you never look like a bigger idiot than when you walk through a spider web. You just walk in. All of a sudden, it's just the most panic you could imagine. And to everyone else, it's like for no reason. It's like, what's wrong with that guy? And then for you, it's like, oh my God! So,
hey Rob, I also said that but you just acknowledged Dumala when he's.
You said something about the spider webs, walking into the spider webs?
No. You said something like I agree with Dumala, but I also said I would touch a tarantula. You could have said I also agree with Scott and Dumala.
Oh well, Dumala talked right before me, but I like him better.
Okay.
And he doesn't make fun of me, so.
Yeah, okay.
Scott's extra sensitive today.
That's actually true.
He's extra sensitive
that's
today.
True. I am.
Yeah,
I am.
He's a little sensitive, but
I'm very sensitive.
But I honestly, Sean, I think you're batshit crazy that you want to walk through a hall of spiders. I'm imagining the image of that.
I'm fine with it.
And that's so much scarier than just touching a tarantula. Have you ever seen but speaking of that, have you ever seen a camel spider?
No, I don't think I want to.
What the hell is that?
A camel spider? They're bigger than your hand. They're like the size of like a lizard, and they eat lizards.
Ooh.
Ew, these
they
things are
eat
gross.
lizards. They're like they have them in like Iraq, and they'll like bite you when you're sleeping, but they have this special poison that numbs your skin so you don't know they're biting you, and then they'll just like chew your leg off. So if you think a tarantula is scary, go watch a video of a camel spider, and it'll change your life.
Oof.
And Dumala, we're gonna let you give one moonshot wild prediction for this week. Whatever you want it to be.
Whatever I want it to be.
If you think you know something that nobody else knows, go ahead. This is your platform.
All right, let's see.
Wow, way to put him on the spot.
I know.
Yeah, really.
It's tough, but I have to say, so it's not necessarily a prediction as it's more of I'm going with San Francisco 49ers to pull the upset over the Cardinals this week, and they're going to get their first win.
I love it. What's the basis there?
It's got to be Garoppolo, right?
They just traded for Jimmy
They
Garoppolo.
just traded
right?
for a quarterback. The Cardinals, I'm not a fan of them. They're at home, and they've been playing hard all year, and I think it's about time they get rewarded for that hard work.
I love it. Bold prediction.
And if for fantasy purposes, Carlos Hyde is going to sneak his way into the end zone.
Boom.
Another hot take there.
I watched Stephen A. Smith videos before I came on. So.
Get himself hyped up.
You just gotta have conviction with whatever you're saying.
That is blasphemous.
That's indubitable.
And
That's
they
indubitable.
don't stay off the weed.
I'm actually Carlos Hyde's best friend. I went to his brother's christening.
In the fourth quarter of a Cleveland Cavaliers game, LeBron James should be the only one with the ball.
But they won't stay off the weed.
Mario Arnold Chalmers should be nowhere with the ball in the fourth quarter.
I love Chris Bosh. He's like a brother to me, but he shouldn't have the ball in the fourth quarter. Hey, Dumala, thanks for being on, man. Hope you have fun.
Honestly, it was a pleasure. It was a pleasure. This is my favorite podcast.
Hey, Dumala, I can't wait to kick your ass this week in the OG League.
Yeah, you suck, by the way.
I suck. Wait till I come back and win our fantasy league. Second half team, baby. Free Zeke, Zeke.
Okay. All right, that does it for Week 8 recap / Week 9 preview. Overall, we're on episode 20. That was episode number 20. Thanks for listening. As always, keep on listening. Tell your friends. Subscribe on iTunes or iHeartRadio. Any of the forums that we're on. Check us out.
We can go
Unqualified
anywhere
FF.
for our podcast.
Yep.
We'll come do a show at your house if you have no access to us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ask Alexa, your whatever the Amazon Echo thing. Ask Alexa to play us. She'll do it.
Yeah, she'll do it. We'll play at parties if you want.
Yeah. Hey, Alexa.
We'll do a party pod.
Check out Ladies Drink Free.
And drink big gulps. Huh?
See you later.
Oh, big gulps.
Well, see you later.
See you later.